The best way to watch anime in the comfort of your own home on all your devices is with Crunchyroll Premium, where you can watch new stuff and also old stuff as well. Shows you grew up with, every single episode of stuff like Naruto, Bleach, it's all on Crunchyroll Premium. Try it right now at crunchyroll.com/geekdom or click the link in the description. So the PlayStation 5 reveal event stream just happened just a few minutes ago. I'm recording the video, like I said, a few minutes after it ended, and they revealed a lot of interesting things, including what the PS5 looks like, and they didn't reveal a price tag, and there's a theory I have behind that, which I'll get to here in a minute, but they did reveal a whole bunch of games, and they revealed, the controller, like they already showed that before, but like a better look at it, headset, all this other stuff, but to me, there wasn't too much reveal. There were a few games of different genres, and they do all look pretty, graphically look pretty good. And, but if I'm being honest with you, only a handful of them really caught my attention. But again, I have to go back and watch it again because one of the things about this presentation is that they showed us some games, but they didn't really go into details about like what the games were. Like usually when you have a presentation, it's more like an E3 type of thing where you have like somebody talking about the game. It's a platformer, it's this, that, and the other thing. But here they just kind of just showed these little trailers, and some of the games I thought were difficult to decipher what they actually were. So it's going to be interesting to see going forward when we find out more about these games, kind of how they are. So I think the one that everyone's kind of hyped up over is Spider-Man Miles Morales. There's been some theories about how the game is going to be a spin-off title to Spider-Man. It's not actually Spider-Man 2, like a sequel to the PS4 game. It's more just his story. But I really don't know. There's also like this rumor going around it's going to be just the same game with a DLC pack. I don't think that's the case either. It looks like it's going to be a brand new game. The graphics look great, but there's only about a minute or so of the game that we saw, and so I can't judge it yet, but Miles Morales looks good, and Spider-Man PS4 was awesome. I streamed it over on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/BigDGeekdom101, so check me out over there. And, make sure you give me a follow on there because I do stream old and new games. But anyways, that's going to be a big launch title. It's going to be one that I think Sony's counting on for people to purchase the PS5. Same thing with Ratchet and Clank. That one looked pretty interesting. Now, they also revealed a lot more about Resident Evil 8 Village, which we had heard about, but I hadn't seen much of it. And Resident Evil 8 looks interesting because it looks to be a game where they're going to be bringing in werewolves. And I have not played Resident Evil 7 yet, so I don't know if werewolves are in that game. But having like werewolves and the Wolfman in the game, that's kind of a cool little kind of look to it. The game looked different. It looked more like a Silent Hill game than a Resident Evil game. Because usually with Resident Evil, you've got like, it's Biohazard in Japan, so it's usually involving some kind of evil corporation or a plague or something. This looks more to be like supernatural horror. It looks to be more sort of like what Silent Hill was. Very spooky, and I really enjoyed that. They also, graphically, they showed the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn called Horizon Forbidden West. And, that game looks really impressive graphically. It's got this gigantic world that I assume you're going to explore, and these huge monsters. It brought back memories of playing Shadow of the Colossus on PS2. I don't know if you ever played that game before, but I really did enjoy that. And I thought it looked good. Again, there wasn't much in the way of gameplay with some of these presentations. A lot of it seemed to be more like cutscenes, but there were things that did look like gameplay. It's kind of hard to figure out what is what in some of these presentations. Also, Demon Souls, which I guess is going to be part of the Dark Souls trilogy. That also looked pretty good. They showed this dragon. Like, it looked great. I mean, it really did look visually stunning. I would like to have seen more gameplay, though. The only thing that surprises me is that these games and this system is supposedly coming out in the holidays of this year, like in November, December. So I am expecting another presentation at some point, and hopefully they will show us, more. They'll show us more about and show us and tell us more about these games, because there's a lot of these games here that I thought were a big mystery. Now, the one game that caught my attention that really looked like a lot of fun is this game called Deathloop. And this game looks like it's gonna be a blast, dude. Like, literally. It's like a first-person shooter, but you can apparently fling people up and throw them around, and it's really fast, and it has this really sort of unique look to it where it kind of combines like The Purge with like a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's got that kind of unique noir vibe to it. Very dark. Kind of reminded me of like a modern version of Max Payne. Maybe less realistic than Max Payne, more like kind of a dark, like, Warriors type of thing. But Deathloop looked really impressive. That was the one game where I was like, okay, if I buy a PS5, which I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it yet when it first comes out. I could buy it, but I don't know yet. Obviously, many of you are probably wondering the same thing with people not having jobs and whatnot nowadays. For me, I can afford it. It's just one of those things where, is it going to be worth buying at launch, or will they release things later on? For example, the PS4 Pro, like something like a PS5 Pro. We don't really know much about the specs of the system or its power. Now, earlier in the video, I talked about my theory as to why they did not announce a price. I'm expecting it to cost around $400. And one thing they revealed is that there's going to be two versions of the PS5. One's going to be with a disc, and one's going to be digital only. So presumably the digital one's going to have a bigger hard drive, so you can download more games. It's going to be all downloading games. So if you don't have internet, you're going to be, SOL, right? But the other one is a traditional disc system, but also you can download onto it as well. So there's two different models, and it'll be interesting to see kind of what they differ, if they do have different hard drive sizes. If you remember when the PS3 came out, they had different hard drive sizes there. But of course, it's going to have a USB so you can expand it. Obviously, you can do that again. And of course, it will play PS4 games. We know that. But so we don't have a price yet. And I think the reason, and maybe I'm wrong, is because I think Sony's waiting for Microsoft to announce their price for the new Xbox, the Xbox X, and I think they want to kind of compete with that and maybe undercut them and say, oh, if Microsoft charges $400, we'll charge $350. You know what I mean? I think that could be part of the whole gimmick here, because they've done this before. They have done this in the past with the PS1 way, way, way back. This is nothing new. And I do believe they'll do something similar here, so I think that's why. Also, design-wise, the PS5 does look really sleek. It looks like something that was made in 2020 for 2020. Like, when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, we're living in the year 2020, because it looks really futuristic. The PS1, original one, top loader, the gray system, very 90s, if you're being honest. The PS2, had a sleek, the black box, the original version, not the slim. Then the PS3 was like kind of a silvery white kind of thing. It looked nice. PS4, of course, PS4 kind of looked more like the PS2, and kind of its kind of simple box design. And then this one just looks very sleek, and it's a stand-up console, but I do think you can sit it down as well, which I hope you can, because it's going to be a lot easier for me anyways when it comes to that. So I want to talk a little bit about the NBA 2K20. They showed the sweat thing again. And so NBA 2K20 on the PS5. Okay, so the last few NBA 2K games have been very underwhelming, okay? And with this year having a weird season because of the COVID-19, I'm not sure if they're going to simulate a fake season, or if they're going to have half a season, or they're just going to start next year. Like, I'm kind of confused about what they're going to do with this. But if I'm being honest, the NBA 2K, it looks good, but I hope the game is actually good. That's what I hope for. It looks good graphically, but they always look good. But they've been letdowns for the past few years. To me, like, the last one I truly loved was like 2K, I think 2K13 was the last one I really enjoyed. 2K14, that's the one. 2K14 I enjoyed. 2K20, we'll see. Also, there were some games I'm not really sure what to think about, like Godfall could be good. It looks pretty interesting. I don't really know much about it. Also, that Tokyo game, that one, the Tokyo game, what was it called? Whatever. Like, that game they revealed at E3, whatever it's called. Not really too into it, but again, it could be good. That Goodbye Volcano High game, that was like that animated like rock star thing, I'm not really, I'm not interested in it based on what I saw. Like, it looked just like, I don't like those designs. I don't really even know what the game's about. And I don't even know why they even announced it. Like, they should have told us more. It just wasn't really very appealing. Like, if I'm being honest, just don't really care. They also announced another Oddworld game, like in the Abe's Odyssey series. And again, not really into it, if I'm being honest. It's a platformer, but it doesn't seem too appealing for me. It just didn't really do it for me. Now, speaking of platformer, a game that does look really, really interesting and looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun is that Astro's Playroom. That game looks, dude, it's like a Mario game. Like, it reminded me of like Mario Galaxy, Mario Odyssey, Mario 64, like that kind of 3D platformer. Like, dude, that looked like just as much fun as Deathloop. Like, I might actually, if I get the PS5, those two games along with Resident Evil 8 could end up being the games I pick up at launch. Like, I don't know yet, but it looks like fun, and we need games that are fun. Like, I'm so happy that with this PS5 reveal, even though there weren't that many like incredible, like, oh my goodness, like at E3s in the past, you know, when you see these things at the conventions, it's still, I like that there was variety. It wasn't just first person shooters and you know, open world adventure games. It was variety. There was fun games, you know, different all ages games, violent games, horror games. You know, it was a good variety. And again, I'm still not sure if it's worth getting at launch, honestly, because there's still so many PS4 games that I would prefer to play first. But still, I was somewhat impressed. I would say about a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 presentation. Didn't quite sell me on the system yet, like I said, but there are some games that I am looking forward to. But are they going to be worth getting right away or wait for they get cheaper? We'll find out. Let me know what you thought about the PlayStation 5 reveal, and thank you for listening. We'll talk soon.